of declaring a state of national emergency and announcing a curfew as of last evening from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. each day. Since then, he and the Honorable Attorney General have been on public radio answering questions and explaining the ambit and ramifications of the state of emergency. In Nevis, all ministers have been bombarded with questions from the Nevisian public, asking what the position is in Nevis. I have decided then to speak to you this afternoon to clarify concerns that you might have. By way of general update, I am to advise that as of today, March 29th, 2020, Nevis has done 13 tests for COVID-19. 10 have come back negative and 3 are still pending. We currently have 101 persons in quarantine and some 16 have completed and therefore been released from quarantine. We currently have no persons in isolation. Our COVID-19 team in Nevis will update our COVID-19 dashboard daily. Our objective is to ensure that you have up-to-date and accurate information in a timely fashion. We have also launched a website, www.nevisprepared.com, that is nevisprepared.com, which I invite you to visit for accurate information. I'm also to advise that a medical team from Cuba, comprising 1 doctor who is an epidemiologist and 5 nurses, arrived on Nevis yesterday as part of a much larger contingent which has arrived to assist us in St. Kitts and Nevis. 4 of the nurses are specialized in emergency room nursing and 1 in intensive care nursing. I go on record to thank the government and people of Cuba for yet again demonstrating their capacity for generosity, even as they fight COVID-19 in their own country. We welcome them to Nevis and we look forward to their assistance. I should say, for the avoidance of doubt, that they too shall be quarantined before being permitted to offer their services to the people of Nevis and are included in the 101 persons quarantined currently on the island. I turn now to the emergency regulations. We are one country, and whatever applies in St. Kitts will apply equally in Nevis. The essential provisions are: 1. Everyone is under a curfew, confining them to their homes and yards from 7 p.m. each day until 5 a.m. the following day for the next 14 days. 2. We want everyone to stay at home. If you break the curfew or any of the other provisions, you can be arrested and charged up to $5,000 and serve up to 6 months in prison. 3. All businesses and offices must allow workers to work from home using virtual means, subject to exceptions that I will get to. 4. If a business cannot operate by having its workers working from home, then it must remain closed during the next 14 days. Let me say that again. If a business cannot operate by having its workers working from home, then it must remain closed during the next 14 days. 5. Public servants and workers for statutory bodies in Nevis, such as NEVLEC, NHLDC, Solid Waste, and NCDF, must work from home, subject to some exceptions, which I shall get to. 6. Already the prominent secretaries in Nevis have met, and communications sent to public servants of the NIA for their guidance. Where any public servant or employee of a statutory corporation is required to attend work, social distancing must be in effect, meaning that every employee must be at least 6 feet apart from each other and from members of the public. 8. All businesses will remain closed, and now these are the exceptions. So the rule is that all businesses will remain closed. These, however, are the exceptions. Wholesale or retail groceries, bakeries, fruit and vegetable vendors, and these can open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. During the first 2 shopping hours, we are asking that priority be given to seniors, disabled persons, and essential workers with identification. Second, doctors, offices, hospitals, and medical facilities can remain open. Third, pharmacies and medical supply businesses can remain open. 4, gas stations from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. can remain open. 5, hardware stores from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. 6, hotels, but not any casino, spa, gym, discotheque, or restaurant there unless that restaurant is offering takeaway or room service only. 7, banks, credit unions, and money services businesses from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Thursday and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. 8, commercial ports and related businesses between 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. subject to directions from the Port Authority. 9, airports subject to restrictions. 10, commercial courier flights. 11, security guard businesses. 12, takeaway food vendors from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. 13, health insurance companies. 14, such other businesses as exempted by the Commissioner of Police. Please note that any business that is allowed to be open must adhere to social distancing guidelines for staff and public interaction. Please also note that the Commissioner of Police and the Commissioner of Police only can allow any other business not listed to be open. Put differently, the authority is vested in the Commissioner of Police. Construction sites, and this is important, construction sites must be closed except where, for purposes of health and safety, the Commissioner of Police may allow pre-existing sites to continue. In this regard, the Nevis Island Administration will use this time to correct some health concerns at the Charlestown Primary School, but will close other construction operations immediately. By social distancing, ladies and gentlemen, it means that people should be at least 6 feet apart. So social distancing means at least 6 feet apart. Many have been asking, naturally, what happens after 5 a.m. each day? We know the curfew is from 7 p.m. one evening until 5 a.m. the following morning. The question that many have been asking, what happens after 5 a.m.? Is it business as usual? Well, it is not. Regulation 7 makes it clear that you must stay at home. You must stay at home and avoid contact with other persons. The exceptions that are made are: 1, essential workers. 2, workers required to work, as I've already described. 3, those who have to travel on the roads to go to the doctor, the grocery store, please forgive me. I have a phone that is going off, please forgive me. To go to the doctor, the grocery store, the bank, the credit union, the money services business, the pharmacy, or the gas station. 4, those who are outside for exercise by themselves or with family members living under the same roof between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. Let me just go over that again for clarity. Many people have been asking, if I stay inside from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m., what happens after 5 a.m.? Is it business as usual? My answer is no. It is not business as usual. Regulation 7 of these emergency regulations makes it clear that you must stay at home and avoid contact with other people. You must stay at home and avoid contact with other people. The exceptions, so that is between 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. during the daytime. The exceptions are: 1, essential workers. 2, workers required to work, as I've already discussed. 3, those who are on the road traveling for purposes of going to the doctor, the grocery store, the bank, the credit union, money services business, pharmacy, or gas station. And 4, those who are outside by themselves or with family members who live under the same roof and are there taking some exercise between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. The next question naturally is, who is an essential worker? The essential workers are set out again in the regulations. They are the police, soldiers, firemen, prison officers, social security workers, social services workers, environmental health workers, immigration officers, customs officers, waste and sanitation workers, hospital, healthcare, and medical facility workers, Red Cross workers, air and seaports authorities workers, accountant general and inland revenue workers, water, electricity, or electronic communications, including electronic and print media workers. Please note that all essential workers must carry personal identification. Others are asked to stay at home. Others are asked to stay at home. It is significant that all religious and educational places of instruction and worship shall remain closed. Schools and churches can function, but must do so by electronic means. And private prayer at a place of worship by individuals is permitted, provided that social distancing is practiced. There should be no church services. I advise further that the regulations prohibit the following. 1, any private party. 2, any sporting event or public entertainment. 3, any wedding where more than 10 people will attend, and that 10 does not include the bride, the groom, witnesses, and those that are officiating. 4, any banquet, ball, or reception. 5, any other ceremony or event in a public place involving 10 or more persons. 6, any funeral, except 10 members of the immediate family and at least 1 officiant and essential mortuary personnel. 7, any meeting exceeding 10 people of any fraternal society, social club, or civic association. And 8, any other type of social event for 10 people or more. Put differently, the regulations prohibit any type of party or meeting or get-together, whether wedding, funeral, or otherwise, of 10 persons or more. Of importance is that inter-island travel is forbidden unless permitted by the port's authorities. Please also note that road traffic is being restricted to persons who must be on the roads in accordance with what I have said earlier. In other words, stay off the roads unless you fall into the categories that I have listed. Note that the police will enforce this strictly and may stop and inquire of you why you are on the roads. For our buses, please note that only 1 passenger per row in staggered formation will be allowed. For our taxis, you can only take 1 passenger. For our ferries, where they are allowed by the Ports Authority, there will only be allowed 2 passengers per row. Lastly, no person shall visit or be permitted to visit any quarantine or isolation center. Equally, no visits to hospitals or residential care facilities or prisons will be allowed. The only exception, subject to hospital protocols, is to allow 1 visitor per day to persons who are hospitalized. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have come this afternoon, a Sunday afternoon, to take some time to set out these provisions so that we can all be better informed. I have had a number of requests for relaxation of the requirements by fishers, farmers, and by others. I have directed them to the Commissioner of Police, who has the necessary authority, and I assure them that we will work with our fishers and farmers who are essential to our food security. I trust that the above brings some greater clarity, and I now open the lines for questions from the public if there are any. Thank you, and God bless you. The numbers to call are 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you would wish to comment or get greater clarity. I remind you that we are here for a very specific purpose, and that is to discuss our response to COVID-19 in the context of the emergency that has been declared by the Honorable Prime Minister and the questions that it appears that some here in Nevis continue to have. I have sought in this short statement to clarify the position, and I invite your comments or questions if you require further or additional clarification. Where there is doubt in your mind, let me be clear that the abiding principle is to stay at home. If you have a doubt in your mind, the abiding principle is stay at home. The objective here is to ensure that our people are off our roads, they are off any space, restaurants, you name it, where they could be congregating with people. We want that to be shut down. We want to contain any possibility of the spread of coronavirus in our island and in our federation. And that is why the government has taken this measure. Just on the way here, I received a call that on a particular beach, it appears that the young people were having a party. I am told that just last Friday in Charlestown, somebody said to me it was reminiscent of Culturama. I am hopeful that our people will act responsibly. I know sometimes it is difficult for us to ask our people to act responsibly, but we must. Our people must take some responsibility for their health, the health of their families, the health of their communities. And going out and pretending as if it is business as usual is dangerous. It is extremely dangerous to yourselves. It is extremely dangerous to others. And so I urge you, please, to adhere to the requirements. And if you do not, if you seek to break curfew, or between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. during the daytime hours, you're on the roads without having good reason, the police have been authorized to act, and act they will. I am hopeful that our people will exercise good sense and stay at home unless, for some of the reasons that have been listed, they have to be out. If you don't have a medical emergency, if you don't have to go to the grocery or the bank, as the case may be, or you don't have to go and get gas, stay at home. If you're not an essential worker, if you do not fall into the category of workers that has been set out, stay at home. For those businesses, it is clear. Your workers should be working remotely from home, and if your business cannot permit or allow that because of the nature of your business, then your business must close for the next 14 days. Some may say that these are harsh provisions. Perhaps they are, but they are necessary provisions as we fight this corona epidemic and pandemic together. It is our job, ladies and gentlemen, to do the best that we can to prevent this pandemic and the chaos that we have seen in other countries of the world. Countries that are much larger, countries that are much better resourced than we are, countries that are crying out under pressure. It is our job to do all that we can to prevent us getting to that stage. And so I crave the cooperation of the public. I believe that our Honorable Prime Minister has done the best that he could in terms of trying to explain. Him and the Attorney General were for a long time on radio just yesterday, and yet I know questions remain. And that is why I've decided to come today to speak to the people of Nevis in an informal way here at Von Radio, hoping that I can answer and clarify any remaining questions that there may be. And so we open the lines now if there are questions. Good day, you are with me, and I'm taking your questions. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes. Good afternoon, yes. Just for clarity, in regards to the post office, persons have been asking where we offer the where we offer the courier service and issue social security check. I'm just trying to find out whether or not that is considered essential.
What is essential is what I've described. For any government departments, all government workers should, by now, if they don't have it, or hopefully before tomorrow definitely, get a communication from their permanent secretary. We settled that today, and that has been sent out to the permanent secretaries for further dissemination to the heads of department and onwards.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right. Let's go back to the phones. Good day, I'm taking your calls.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
My question is, how soon will the VAT be removed from the certain items that the Prime Minister announced?
The VAT should have been removed immediately, caller. I'm told that there was some delay in communication, and I certainly, from the Nevis end, have given the instructions that people should get immediate relief. I believe the Honorable Prime Minister has done likewise. So it wasn't so much a fault of the Prime Minister, because he made the announcement, but there was, I'm told, a delay in the communication by the relevant authorities to the businesses. And the businesses have been claiming that until they get something communicated to them in writing, they will continue to charge the VAT. So that is what caused the delay.
Okay, so my question is, who already paid for these items and got charged for VAT? Would they get compensated back?
Well, I can't answer that. That will have to be a question for the relevant Inland Revenue authorities. I don't know what that position would be, but that lag of time should be only a matter of days. I'm hopeful that not too many people find themselves in that category.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you're most welcome. Let me go back to the phone. Hello, I'm taking your calls.
Good afternoon. I'm trying to find out if public works people are supposed to work.
Again, the workers for the NIA should receive a communication today from their heads of departments advising them as to the position. We are, of course, requiring essential services to come out to work. I've made that clear. Those who are working in health, there's some Inland Revenue people, customs, firemen, police, those are required to come to work. Social services, etc., social security, solid waste, all of those are expected to come out to work. But you should receive communication, if you are a public servant, some communication from your department head. The permanent secretaries have had this communication today. It was settled today, and it is for them to send it out to their heads of department and thereafter to the staff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me continue to take calls. Good day.
Hi, good day, sir.
Yes.
My question is, small business,
Yes.
like snackers, affected by the closure. Where do they get relief from?
Relief in terms of what? You're talking about financial relief?
Yeah.
Well, caller, that at this point we have not yet addressed our minds to that. The ground is shifting daily, or I must say even hourly. We are in a crisis. We are in a state of emergency. And it had to be declared in circumstances where I do not believe that the financial relief that some are talking about has been fully yet discussed and a decision arrived at. So at this point, our primary concern is the health of our people. And to the extent that people will have adverse implications as a consequence of decisions being taken, then we will have to discuss those. Of course, some may already fall under the rubric of those who have been offered some of the package, the stimulus package that has already been announced. Others who do not fall in that category but are being affected, then we'll have to look at that. But I cannot today, Sunday, give you an accurate answer to your question, because this is rapidly developing. As you know, this announcement was only made yesterday.
Thank you most kindly, sir.
Yes, you're welcome. Let's try again. Hello, good day.
Good day. What about those people at Four Seasons? Remember, some departments down there closed and some still open.
The hotels are still open based on the rules that I've set out. the regulations that have been passed, one of the businesses that is allowed to open is the hotels, and I will read it again for you as soon as I find it. Hotels can remain open, but not any casino, spa, gym, discotheque, restaurant at the hotel, unless the restaurant is only offering takeaway or room service. So people in security, engineering, those other avenues can certainly go to work.
Okay.
Okay? All right, let me take some more calls. Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
calling about the public ferry, how that when I listen off air, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Based on the regulations, and let me go directly to the regulation itself, it appears that the public ferries, that is the ferries running between St. Kitts and Nevis, will not be allowed to operate unless they get special permission from the port. And that is Regulation 11, and I'll read it to you. It says, no person shall offer for hire or seek to travel on any inter-island private commercial sea transport, provided that the Ports Authority may vary any of that requirement by way of order. So at this point, the ferry services would not be allowed to travel unless the Ports Authorities, being NASPA in Nevis and SCASPA in St. Kitts, were to vary that. The idea again is to seek to restrict people. However, the regulations do say that where any ferry is allowed to travel, it will only be allowed, and let me read it here for you. It will only be allowed no more than 2 persons per row. So if the ferry is allowed to travel, it cannot take any more than 2 persons per row in the ferry. So I hope that brings some clarity for you. Are there any more calls? Yes, let's keep taking the calls. Good day. Hello? Hello?
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Mark. Hello?
Yes, do you have a question?
Yeah, the question I want to ask is like, the busman them, right? When they're driving, you say one person hour. How are we going to pay?
How you gonna get paid?
Yeah.
The one person gonna pay you?
The one person? But it just, you know.
Well, so I think what you're asking is the government gonna put something in place to try and compensate you?
I want to know.
Okay. Well, and my answer to that is similar to the answer to those who asked about the snack it, because somebody called and asked what is in place. One. Well, caller, we're not encouraging people to stay home and get paid. We're encouraging people to pay attention to the very serious disaster that our country is facing. That is what should be our concern. What I'm saying to you is that if you are a bus operator and you clearly are going to be affected, then you might be able to benefit under the stimulus package that has already been announced. If not, then the government must look to see how we can cushion the impact on not just you, but other small businesses. But then for the next 14 days, we're asking our people wherever possible. We know everybody has bills to pay. We know everybody has business to run. But we also ask people to appreciate that it is not business as usual. We have a choice now that we are forced to make between our lives and our livelihoods. And we are saying for the next 14 days, we are asking everybody to focus on allowing us an opportunity to contain this pandemic so that we do not get to Italy or New York or one of those countries that we see every day on the television. So we are asking for the cooperation, understanding that the government will do everything it can to seek to cushion the blow on our small business community. We have announced a stimulus package already. We have now yesterday been forced to announce this state of emergency and curfew and the restrictions that come with it. And that is why we're inviting people to abide by it. The life you save may be your own. Okay? Thank you very much. Let's go back to the phones. Hello, good day. Hello?
Good day, Mr. Ramley.
Yes, good day to you.
Just one question. Would Social Security open to receive payments?
Yes, Social Security is one of the essential services,
And we would be able to drive and go, okay.
Social Security will be open, yes.
Okay, I'm just checking on that.
Okay, all right, good. Can we go back to the phones? Hello?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Question, if there are persons with elderly relatives who live by themselves and they are in need of assistance, would we have to get permission from the police to visit them and check on them?
Well, I would suggest that social services is an essential service. Social services continues to be open. I would suggest that you liaise with social services.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right. Let me try again. Good day, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I haven't heard anything on respect to farmers. I've heard about fishermen. I heard that they can go and collect a letter from somebody who works in, I guess, that department, but I haven't heard any consideration to farmers. Would they be allowed to go and water their crops
Right.
or tend to their sheep?
So what I said earlier was that fishers and farmers, we are going to be making some exception for them. I've directed most of them to the relevant authority, who is the Commissioner of Police, and the Commissioner of Police will handle those requests. We're working, of course, with the Department of Agriculture. We need food, we need food security, and so we need to do everything that we can to encourage our farmers and fishers to go out and do what they're supposed to do. So I wouldn't worry too much if I were you. I think that if you're a bona fide registered farmer, you should have no difficulty, because we also will be intervening to ensure that farmers and fishers are allowed to go out and do their job, because we need you to do your job in order to ensure food security on the island.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
very much.
you're welcome. Let's go back to the phones.
Hello?
Yes, could you take off the radio? We're getting a terrible feedback.
Good afternoon.
We're getting
I'm
a...
calling.
Hello? We're getting a terrible feedback.
My boyfriend lives in Cotton Grove.
Hello? Hello? We're getting a terrible feedback from your radio. Could you take off the radio and then we talk, please? Okay, let me take this call. Hello?
Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Hi, good afternoon, Honorable Premier Brantley. David Waldman here, at the Conference Center.
How you doing, David?
Pretty good. First of all, thank you for taking out your time this Sunday to provide, update us with this information. I really appreciate the efforts being done to prevent the spread of the COVID virus. However, understanding that the best defense against any virus is a strong immune system, which is, of course, promoted through regular exercise, good nutrition, and stress management, which also can minimize the effects of infection if it occurs. The question is, why isn't more emphasis being placed on practices that can be done at home to strengthen the immune system and manage stress, which I'm sure is greatly generated by this pandemic? I'll listen offline.
Okay, well, I don't know, caller, in terms of what you mean by more emphasis. Certainly, we're being guided by the technical team. The technical team has been primarily concerned with containing the spread of this virus, because we understand if it spreads, what the end result would look like. Again, I say we see on our televisions what's happening in Italy, what's happening in Spain, what's happening even in New York, where we have lots of family and friends. We see what is happening in the UK, and our hearts go out to them. We do not have the capacity to respond if that level of pandemic were to reach our shores. We have had 2 confirmed cases thus far. We are seeking to keep it at that and to try our very best to contain. So a lot of our efforts thus far have been directed in that way for containment. Now, if we're talking about what we can do generally to strengthen our immune system by exercise, by eating right, then we continue to preach that as a usual matter. The Health Promotion Unit, Nevis Moves, SKN Moves, these have all been designed to try and promote healthier lifestyles. But in terms of the immediate response is what we're seeking to deal with, and that is why we have come up with measures that we know restrict people's freedoms, which tell you can't go here and you can't go there when we are accustomed to going wherever we want to go. What we are saying to our people, and that is why I'm here today, to appeal for understanding, appeal to our people to be responsible, and to say that all of us are in this together, and therefore all of us must do the best that we can. The healthy lifestyle, the exercise, the eating right, of course, those are relevant, and we continue to encourage those practices and activities. But right now, we have a monster in our midst, and we're seeing how we can slay that monster. And that is what we're seeking to do with these regulations, and why I'm here today to try to explain them to the general public. Good day, you are with me. Do you have a question?
Yeah, good day. Will Neglect and Digicel will be open tomorrow?
Nevlec is an essential service, Digicel as well with communications, so I anticipate that they will be open.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I would like to know, what about the construction workers?
Construction sites will be closed.
Will be closed?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Let me go back to the phone.
Hello, good day.
Good day.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out all of the people that you said working, like for government and so whatever. What's the name is again?
Public servants?
No, all of the different people combined.
The different people combined who are working for government?
Essential. Sorry.
Oh, you're talking about essential workers. Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Are there people that get in risk pay? Those people?
No, not necessarily. Some of them do because of what their job is. Others do not necessarily get risk pay.
Okay. Oh, this is one question.
All right?
All right. Thank
Good. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the phones. Good day.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to
I
you.
was listening that you said there's some information with regards to farming. Now, I called the Ministry of Agriculture to inquire about that, and I was told that there are no benefits for those who are unregistered. Well, we fall in the category of backyard farming,
Yes.
and we're not registered. So I
Right.
was told that there's no benefit
What-
given once you're not registered.
What we announced for the backyard farmers is that we would provide free seedlings and free seeds for the backyard farmers. The other provisions, free water, and some other provisions, I can't recall off the top of my head now, those were for registered farmers. So as a backyard farmer, you can get free seedlings and free seeds.
Okay. Thank you so much for clearing that up.
Okay, great. Let's go back to the phones.
Hello,
Hello?
that's one.
Yes, you're on the air.
Are restaurants allowed to be open for takeaway?
Takeaway only.
Okay.
So they're not allowed to have anyone coming into the restaurant to sit down. It is takeaway only.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? We go back to the phones. Good day.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Bandy.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, is the Western Union going to be operating?
Yes, the money services centers will be operating. They're
Okay, what
considered
about-
essential.
What about our coastline? Anybody managing the coastline, like if anybody will be coming in?
Well, the essential services again, the Coast Guard and all of those, they continue to do their job. Security, yes. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Let's go back to the phones. Good day.
Good evening, Honorable Premier.
Yes?
Reverend Williams of the Methodist Church calling. Thank you for taking my call.
You're most welcome, Reverend.
I am just, presently acting as Circuit Superintendent of the Methodist Church on Nevis.
Yes.
I had planned a meeting tomorrow with my staff to work out certain details as to where we go as to the way forward during this period. And wanted to find out if I am to stay put or can I be permitted to go out and to meet with the staff in the morning at 10 o'clock.
My advice is that you must stay put. What I would say to you is that if you must meet, you can do what I myself as Premier have been doing, is you can meet by telephone.
Okay.
Okay?
Right, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, you're most welcome. Let's go back to the phones. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Honorable Premier, thanks for taking the time out to clarify some essential points, because I think persons have been getting confused and focusing on the quarantine, on the curfew period rather than the normal period. I have two questions. In relation to the fruit and vegetable vendors,
yes,
out of an abundance of clarity, can you explain if that extends to persons who normally sell on the street, or that's limited to maybe the market for instance?
No, it's not limited to the market. We clearly are concerned about people getting food. And that is why we had some debate in the cabinet, but we decided that the groceries must remain open and the fruit and vegetable vendors. So you notice, for example, in Nevis, and I'm sure in St. Kitts as well, but let me focus on Nevis, you have some vegetable vendors who pop up on the sides of the road offering their wares. Those people are who we are trying to get to. Sometimes people just pull up, buy and go. So the idea is that we will continue to afford every opportunity for people to be able to buy food, and for those who are not only selling food, selling provisions and the like, but also those who are growing them to have a market for their farm products. If we say that we're serious about greater food security, then we have to find mechanisms to get the food from the farmer and to the household.
Okay, thanks. My second question relates to the persons who you indicated were tested negative.
Yes.
And I'm happy to hear that the results thus far has been negative.
Yes.
But is there a process where persons would be retested? Because we've heard of false negative tests. So I'm just inquiring to find out if those persons, once the results are returned and they're negative, if there's a process for retesting.
The answer is no, so far as I'm advised, and the reason for it being no is that the testing process in St. Kitts and Nevis is perhaps unique. It is twofold. So if Mark Brantley shows up for a test, then what will happen is Mark Brantley's test is done locally, that is here in St. Kitts, and then it is also sent to Curfew in Trinidad for a second test, if you will. So we have a redundancy that is already built into our system. And the idea behind that is to rule out false positives and false negatives. So we have to get confirmation from Curfew before we say publicly what that result is. So on that basis, there's no mechanism for retesting persons who've already tested negative, just as there's no mechanism for retesting persons who've already tested positive, because we've already built in a redundancy into our system, which is perhaps unique, as I say, for insofar as St. Kitts and Nevis is concerned, compared perhaps to some of our neighbors. So we already have that built in, and therefore there is no process. Now, of course, if persons who would have tested negative were to somehow contract the virus afterwards or to exhibit symptoms, then they may be subject to a second test because they are now exhibiting symptoms that would have developed sometime after. But there's no process of testing people in order to rule out, as you say, false negatives, because we already have a process of control in place to deal with that. Let's keep with the phones. Good day.
Yeah, Mr. Bradley.
Yes.
Do we have enough supplies at the hospital? Because when we look around the world, a lot of them hospitals running out of supplies. But we have enough to, just in case?
Well, what can I tell you if we have enough? If all 10,000, 13,000 people in Nevis were to get sick tomorrow, the answer is no. But based on the estimates that we have had, based on the analysis that has been done with the assistance of PAHO and others, we feel that we are where we need to be. And I should add, we have already ordered additional supplies. So the hospital has a set of supplies now. We've ordered additional supplies. Part of the difficulty is, particularly where ventilators are concerned, there is a global shortage. And so we have ordered, and I'm told that we're in the queue to get additional ventilators and even other supplies, simple things like hand sanitizer. We are told that there could be delays of up to 3 weeks. And so, as you know, a lot of local producers have jumped into action and are producing hand sanitizers locally. But the short answer is we feel that we are ready, and we continue to make ourselves even more ready while, of course, praying for the best.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right. Let's go back to the phones. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I just have some concerns.
Sure.
I work in the hotel industry.
Yes.
But we were laid off without any benefits or anything. I was told that we could get a letter from our employee to go to the Social Security
Yes.
to get benefits. I want to know if that's true or not.
That is true. If you would be listening, you would have heard of the stimulus package that has been announced. Social Security has indicated that they've set aside up to $15 million. They will be offering up to $1,000 for every worker that has been impacted. Your employer should send to the Labor Department a list of workers who have been impacted. The Labor Department will then take it from there and have that necessary information transmitted to Social Security so that anybody in that position will get the benefit.
Okay, then. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Let's go back to the phones. Good day. Hello?
Good day.
Yes, good day.
I'm working for an old lady, looking after an old lady.
Yes.
She lives in Hanswood. I'm living in Cleveland. So how do I go to her in the morning?
What I would suggest is that you get in touch with social services and you have a conversation with them tomorrow morning to determine the best approach to deal with that. Okay? All right?
Thank you.
Good.
Yes, sir.
You're most welcome. Let's go back to the phones. Good day.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good afternoon.
I have a question involving the essential workers.
Yes.
You said there are certain people that qualify for the risk management pay. Could you list out the persons that qualify for that?
Yes, caller, I can't tell you all, but certainly some officers get risk pay. I think police get something. Soldiers, I believe, get something. Prison officers, I think, get something.
Security.
I'm sorry?
Security.
Well, largely security forces, yes. And I know that we are in a discussion now about our health workers who are on the front lines. But traditionally, others that are listed here do not necessarily get risk pay because not everybody in these categories is necessarily on the front lines, not necessarily at risk. So, for example, social security workers. We have some Red Cross workers, ANC Ports Authority workers, Accountant General and Inland Revenue workers, etc.
Okay, but my question with that is, let's say you're working for a hotel. The hotel is the one that pays the risk management, or is the government that pays the risk management?
No. The hotels are private sector. Your pay at the hotel will be determined by the hotel. That's an employer-employee relationship. The risk pay that I'm talking about is in relation to government and government workers. I can't speak for the hotels because that may vary from hotel to hotel.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Let's go back to the phone. Good day. Hello? Hello? Okay, there's nobody there. All right. Okay, hello. Good day.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brantley.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm calling to ask you a question. I live in Kanunguang, and my boyfriend lives next door. So I cannot go by my boyfriend?
Well, he lives next door, you say?
Yeah, about 5 minutes walk.
Okay. The regulations have set out that you stay at home unless it is absolutely necessary for you to be out. Right? And during the curfew period, that is from 7 p.m. at night to 5 a.m., I think you must decide whether your boyfriend stays by you or you stay by the boyfriend. Because you shouldn't be out during those hours.
Mr. Brantley, close by my home.
No matter how close it is, if the police catch you, right, you're going to be the first person gone jail for going by your boyfriend, right? So, again, my advice to you, if your boyfriend come by you, make sure, let's say you're penning your sheep early. So he come by you, 7 o'clock, he stay till 5 the next morning, or you go by him, same way. Do not break the curfew. And if you are apart during the day, even though you say it's only 5 minutes, the advices and the regulations require that you stay at home. You stay in your own yard unless it is absolutely necessary for you to be out. And sadly, seeing your boyfriend does not fall into the absolutely necessary category. Thankfully, with technology now, you could FaceTime him, you could WhatsApp video him, you could, do all those kinds of things where you talk to him, so you shouldn't have a problem. But I think that you or him must make a decision and decide where you're going to spend the night, whether by you or by him, because you are not allowed to be out after 7 p.m. and between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. And after 5 a.m., you must only be out if you fall into one of the categories, essential services, or you are out for an essential purpose. And let me just say again that the essential purposes that you can be out for, They are laid out in the regulations that you can go out. Sorry, I will find it quickly for you. You can go out to the grocery, you can go to the doctor, pharmacy, gas station, etc. to get fuel. So these are things that you're allowed to do, or if you have any medical emergency. So the Governor General who promulgated this did not make an exception for boyfriend and girlfriend. So I apologize to you for that. Let's go back to the phones and see who else. Hello, do you have a question?
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I do.
Yes. Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Okay. My question is pertaining to the essential workers.
Yes.
Some persons do have concerns with the spaces in their offices in terms of practicing the social distancing.
Yes.
Would special provision be made for that?
Yes, the regulations require it. So the regulations provide that where people have to go out to work, then social distancing has to be dealt with. So, for example, in government offices which might be crowded, then those in charge may have to do maybe a shift system or work some mechanism where people are no closer than 6 feet apart.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Another question I have very quickly.
Sure.
In terms of containing the virus in St. Kitts, seeing that we have positive testing in St. Kitts and none in Nevis yet, I have a concern as far as the sea bridge is concerned. Would we have checks being done at that facility?
When you said checks, what do you mean?
In terms of checking persons just to make sure, as we do at the Charlestown Pier. Okay, special provision, special permission may be given to vessels. But I've asked the question before, where I've learned that the sea bridge is considered to be a private entity, and we do not have...
Let me read the provision to you again.
Okay.
Restriction on domestic travel. No person shall offer for hire or seek to travel on any inter-island private commercial sea transport. So that includes Sea Bridge, Mark Twain, Sea Hustler, Carib Queen, whatever exists.
Okay.
Now, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right. No person shall offer for hire or seek to travel on any inter-island private commercial sea transport, provided that the ports authorities may vary that by order. So it would be a matter for them getting some special permission from the ports authority, regardless of if they are a private carrier. Indeed, all carriers now are private carriers because none are government owned.
You're right.
All right?
You're right.
Good.
Thank you.
So let me go back to the phones. Good day. Hello? Hello? Okay.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm calling in regards to immigration.
Yes.
Are they supposed to come out to work on the front line as well?
Immigration is required to come out, yes.
Will they be getting a risk pay?
If they do not normally get risk pay, then I am not aware that they in the category of getting risk pay. But as I said, people who are on the front line, like our health workers, are people that we will be looking at to determine what we can do. The reality is now for immigration, there's no traffic coming into the country anyway. So I am not anticipating that our immigration officers will be in any risk because there are no passengers coming in to St. Kitts or to Nevis. The airports have been closed down except for commercial traffic. So the risk, to the extent that it exists, we anticipate will be minimal, but that's a matter that we'll have to look at. But they do fall into the category of essential workers.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? All right. Let's stick with the phones. Good day.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Bradley. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, I am in St. Kitts, and I need to move out of my apartment before Wednesday to Nevis. But I can't travel on the boat. How can we accommodate that? How is that possible? What would you recommend?
Well, I don't know what I can recommend except that you try and delay it for 14 days. Is that possible? Because given the circumstances, the fast pace of this, your move has been overtaken by circumstances where a state of emergency has been declared.
Oh, my.
And what we're advising people is wherever you are, please stay. Avoid going out, avoid leaving your home until we have a better handle on what is happening and until we give the all clear. The reason for 14 days is because we're advised by the medical experts that 14 days is the gestation period, if you will, for this virus. And so we feel that that in the first instance ought to be the period of time that we utilize. So if at all your landlord or landlady, the owner of your apartment, can understand, my recommendation is that you try and stay there until we get greater clarity and we can come back and say what changes will be put in place.
All right, thank you for the information.
Okay, you're most welcome. Let me try again. Good day. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the phone.
One more.
You're on the air. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, you're on the air. Hello?
Hi.
You're on the air.
You are not listening from the beginning, right? So we want to know if bakery will be opening too.
Yes, bakeries are open.
Okay, thank you.
You're most welcome. Let me go back to the phone. Good day.
Hello?
Hello? Yes?
Mark.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Fitzroy Warner here. What's up?
Yes, Fitzroy. How are you?
Good, good. We go to St. Kitts for dialysis.
Yeah, Fitzroy, I know where you're going. That is being taken care of. Each of you will be contacted. We're putting something special in place, okay?
I know. What I was concerned about is sometimes we finish a bit late and we might run into the night. So that means we will be coming over after 7.
Yes, that's why I'm telling you. I know where you're going and something is being put in place. Right? I would have had communication today.
I know. I spoke to whoever
Okay.
you spoke to. I just wanted to get back there.
All right. Well, I understand and we understand and we clearly do not want to put anybody's life at risk. And so I think that it's just a few people involved and we will make the necessary arrangements. Okay?
Okay, good.
Okay. Take good care. All right. Let's take a few more calls then. Good day.
Hi, good day.
Yes? You're on the air.
Hi, good day, Mr. Brantley. How are you?
I am okay. Thank you. Do you have a question?
Okay, yes. I called to find out how come regular buses, yes?
Listen to your phone, not to the computer, because the computer has a delay. So talk to me on the phone, not listening to the computer.
Well, maybe. Hello?
Yes, just talk to me. Go ahead.
Yes?
Caller?
How come
Yes.
regular buses can run one person per seat and taxi buses can only take one passenger?
Well, look, that is the regulation, caller. I'm not here to debate them. I'm only here to educate the public as to what they say.
Very well.
So that's all I can tell you at this point. We will evaluate again within 14 days, but that is the current position.
Very well, sir. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
Okay, you also. Let me go and take some more calls. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm trying to find out if any provisions were made for the farmers who have to get back and forth to the animals.
Yeah, I'm just indicating earlier, I think 2 people called in already on the same matter, that fishers and farmers, we are seeking to make some exemption for them. We will have to ask the Department of Agriculture to intervene with the police to ensure that they are not in any way affected and that they can move back and forth to tend to their crops and their animals because we need the food production.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, you're most welcome. We go back to the phone. Hello, you're on the air.
Oh, I didn't want to be on the air. I'm sorry.
All right, well, you'll call back later then. Let me try this call. Good day, you're on the air.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Honorable Bandry.
Yes, that's me. You have a question?
I would just like to make a statement. I would just like to a statement. I'm calling to tell the people of Nevis, my fellow Nevisians, to take this matter seriously. We can't afford to lose our human resources. I am sitting and I'm listening, and I am urging and beseeching our fellow divisions to work with urgency and to support all of our leaders and the workers in this affair. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I don't think anybody could put it any clearer. We're asking our people to treat this seriously, because too many people seem to have it as a joke, and it is not a joke. You get this thing, it could mean a death sentence for you, and we're trying our best to ensure that we keep people safe. But the government can only do so much. Our people have themselves to be responsible. Our people have themselves to be responsible. This curfew and this corona is not a time for people to say, okay, I have time to party and let me go and see my friends, and because you might well be endangering your life and the lives of those around you. Let me go back to the phones. Okay, good day. We're going to take a few more calls. We're going to go maybe until 6 o'clock. We'll go until 6 o'clock. We have maybe 25 minutes left. Good day. You're on the mark.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brantley.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, just calling to let you know that I think the government has been handling this situation very well. The information coming out of Nevis as well as St. Kitts has been done very well.
Thank you very much.
I congratulate the government, and hopefully the people of St. Kitts and Nevis especially will follow the instructions.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And you're commending the government. Let me just say that the commendations, really, people like myself, because of my leadership role, I come to you. But it's the hard-working health and other professionals who have been really going well beyond the call of duty to make sure that we're safe. The CMO and her team in St. Kitts, Dr. Judy Nisbet and her team in Nevis, the Minister of Health in Nevis, the Honorable Hazel Brandy, and her PS, Shalisa Martin, and the entire team. They've really, really been doing an amazing job. Those at the Health Promotion Unit, it has really been a fantastic effort for such a small country with such limited resources, and I'm very proud of them. Thank you.
And again, it's not easy. I'm in New York. People know who I am. I'm in New York, and I'm in my house. It's week 1 now, and it's difficult. Some people are on week 2, and we got some more time to go.
Okay.
So it's not easy.
All right. Thank you very much. Good.
Okay.
20 minutes to the hour. 25 minutes, I'm sorry. We're going to take some calls over the next 25 minutes. Good day. You're on the mark. Sorry, you're on the ear. Forgive me.
Good evening, Premier Brantley. This is Michael Perkins.
Yes, Mr.
I just want to make a quick input by first commending you on the taking the decision to go to the airways and try to explain these regulations as best you can, because I think it's important and it's really clearing up a lot of the misconception or misunderstanding out there. The one part of the regulations I would ask you to refer to, if you can, is a section 9G, where it seems to give permission for there to be a gathering of 10 persons or less. I'm not sure if you would have spoken to that.
Yes,
earlier,
I did speak to it.
Yes, okay, I joined the program late, so sorry I missed that.
Yes.
So maybe if you can quickly comment on that again and what really is allowed.
Well, all that Regulation 9 seeks to restrict gatherings of more than 10 people. I think I can put it that way. Gatherings, they restrict private parties, they restrict recreational or competitive sporting event, restrict weddings, banquet, ball or reception, any ceremony in a public place, any funeral, any fraternal society, private or social club or civic association meeting, and any other type of social event for a non-essential purpose where more than 10 persons are gathered. So I think the general rule is that you're restricting any type of social gathering where more than 10 people would be present. Caller, you there? Okay, I think the caller might have gone, but caller, that is the intention, to really restrict any kind of social gathering. So we don't want people partying We don't want people to say, well, it's a curfew, so let me have a curfew party. Let me get 100 people in a room, come over before 7 and party till 5 the next morning. No, that would be illegal. That would be in contravention, and you could be arrested for doing that. People plan a wedding, they want a big wedding? No. People plan a funeral, they want a big funeral? No. People want to meet, civic organization, fraternal club, whatever? No. The idea is that we're trying to restrict contact. We're told that this virus is transported by human beings. Not by dogs and cats, not by monkeys, donkeys, or goats and sheep, but by human beings. So we're trying to keep human beings apart so that they do not spread it inadvertently. The person that you may spread it to might be your mother, your grandmother, might be your child, because you don't know necessarily that you have it. So the best way to do is to practice what we are calling the physical or social distancing. Keep people apart. And we are asking people, as a result, to treat this seriously. We wish we didn't have to go to curfew and all of that, caller. But the truth is that our people were not behaving responsibly. And so we had to respond by saying, if our people are not going to maintain the distance, then we'll have to direct that it be done from a governmental point of view. No government wants to move to a state of emergency. That's not something. I think the last state of emergency we had in this country was back in 1993. And even then it was only in St. Kitts. So this is not something that our country is accustomed to. But clearly we are asking people to be responsible, and we now have the teeth of a state of emergency and the law and law enforcement behind it to ensure that we direct and mandate that people behave in a responsible way. Let me go back to the phones. Good day.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, Mr. Bradley.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I don't know if you have spoken about this already, but my situation now, my wife works at the hospital. If I have to take her to work, how that go?
You have no other way of her getting to work? The hospital bus?
I normally take her to work back and forth.
Okay. Can I suggest that she raises that with the administrator of the hospital?
Okay.
To determine what can be put in place to ensure she gets to and from work. The regulations talk about ensuring that they have safe transport to and from. Okay?
Okay.
So have her contact the administrator or the matron or whoever is the person in charge of her department and see what can be put in place.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. You're most welcome. Let me go back to the phone. Good day. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brantley.
Good afternoon to you.
What date would the end of the 14 days fall on?
Lord, you have me doing maths now. Count from the 27th of March.
Count from there?
27th of March. Now what you get?
Okay, thanks.
Okay?
Oh.
All right. I'm not sure the 27th of March plus 14. Where does that end? But that is when it was published on the 27th of March, and we're going from that date. They came into effect yesterday, the 28th of March. So count 14 days from that date. 20 minutes to the hour. Taking your calls. Good day. You're on the air.
Yes, Mr. Brantley, good afternoon.
Good afternoon
I'm just calling to say you guys doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And keep up the good work. So I'm so proud of you all.
Thank you.
I'm praying for each and every one. Those on the front line, those on the back line, whoever it is, I'm just praying for you, for our safety.
Thank you very much, and stay safe, please, okay?
Yeah, I'm trying. Thank you
Okay.
very much. Okay.
All right, I pulled up a calendar for the caller before. 14 days from the 28th will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It looks to me like that would be somewhere around the 12th of April. I hope I'm correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm sorry, the 11th of April. So that is when this should come to an end if my math is correct. Let me go back to the phones. Good day. You're on the mark.
Day.
On the ear, sorry. Not on the mark, but on the ear.
Good day.
Good day.
I still asking is interplanetary skipping.
What happened? You had some gold medals you wanted to win?
Yes.
All right. Inter-primary has been postponed. We're looking to see, depending on what happens, whether we could have it held at some other date this year. But certainly for now, we can't say because we're dealing with this epidemic and seeking to determine what would be the best possible time in the circumstances. So more information will be provided as we get closer to that time when we might be able to host the interprimary in a safe environment. Right now, the safety and security of our people is the utmost and urgent priority. So that is why we have not yet announced any new date for interprimary.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. All right, let me try the phones again. Good day, you're on the air.
Good day, Honorable.
Good day.
First, thanks for all the information you've put out thus far. I'm asking a question on behalf of the artisans. What if, like, musicians, not in a big group, but we want to stream something live after the 7 o'clock?
No, if you stream it live from your home, that's fine.
If we wanted to, like, we were meeting at NEPAC or something like that?
No, that would be prohibited under the rules. So if you want to stay at home, last night there was a big party, for example, online, something called vaccine. So I got vaccinated last night, and it was great fun. People were online, I think at one point over 2,500, and people enjoyed themselves. But you're not allowed to congregate or to go into any space together for any purpose unless you fall into one of those categories of exempted people.
Okay. And as part of the, just let's say you're an artist and you want to go out during the regular daytime hours and go up on a hilltop by yourself and paint a picture, that's fine.
Well, you do not again fall into the category of persons who should be out. And again, the regulations and the recommendations is stay at home. Unless you have some essential reason to go on that hilltop to paint a picture, stay at home. The hilltop will be there when the state of emergency is over, and you can go and paint that picture when that is over. So we're encouraging people to stay at home. That is the abiding principle. Stay at home unless you absolutely have to be out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? And just again, caller, for your benefit, those under the regulations who are allowed to be out on the road, essential workers, workers required to work, as had already been discussed, those who have to travel on the roads to go to the doctor, grocery store, bank, credit union, money services business, pharmacy, or gas station, and those who are outside by themselves or with family members living under the same roof between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. for exercise. So those are the categories that the regulations speak to. So we don't have a category for artists and artisans and people like those. We're encouraging you to stay at home. It is 1:45. Do we have more calls? Let's take this call. Good day. You're on the air. Hello? Hello? Okay, that caller isn't there. Let's try this one. Good day. You're on the air.
Hi, good day. I'm calling to find out about the people that work in security at night, like up to 11 o'clock. Is it okay for them?
They are essential services, so they will be exempted from the provisions that is set out in the regulations.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, all right. There any more callers? Okay. We are 6 o'clock. We've been here since 4:30. It appears the calls have stopped. Okay, I spoke too soon. Let me go back to the phones. Okay. Good day. You're on the air.
Good day. I'm just calling to say thanks for taking the time off to come and reiterate the importance of adhering to the rules and regulations. We all stand, in this crisis, and we ought to adhere to the rules so that we can be safe. I also want to say thanks to the Prime Minister, who I think is also doing a wonderful job there in St. Kitts. Thanks to Dr. Laws and Dr. Judy and their team for doing a wonderful job. They just have been doing what they have to do and doing it with poise and with great, I don't even know how to express it. But the work they're doing is very great, and I thank them, to the police as well, and all who are at the front line in this time of crisis. Thanks for all the prayer warriors as well, who are interceding on behalf of the nation. We will continue to pray because we serve a big God, and we know that He'll take care of our needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's beautifully said. Let me go back to the phones. Good day. Do we have anyone? Good day. Okay, we've lost those callers. All right, callers, we had said we'd go until 6 o'clock. That's about 14 minutes away. But, okay, let's try this call then. Good day, you're on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
I have a quick question.
I need to go to Social Security tomorrow to pay the, the contributions for a number of people.
Yes.
Can I drive from my home to Social Security?
Yes, you can go out. I think Social Security is one of those areas that is open. It's one of those essential services. So we would hope you go there, do what you need to do, and head straight back home.
I will come right home. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, let's go back again and see if we have anybody else. Good day. Hello. 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 Hello.
Good evening. Like how I'm taking care of an elderly woman, should I go to work tomorrow?
Please call the people at Social Services first thing in the morning for some guidance as to what they would expect you to do. We want to ensure that whoever's in your care is well taken care of, but at the end of the day, we also want to make sure that you don't get yourself into any difficulty going to do that job. Caregivers, we have said Social Services are exempted, but I would want you to get the guidance from Social Services. So if you call them first thing in the morning and get some guidance from them, okay? All right. Okay, do we have anybody else? Let's go back to the phones. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, let's take this call. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, ma'am. Just a quick question here. I just want to know when school will be open.
We don't know that yet. We hope and pray that we can see the back of this corona threat as quickly as possible. But at this point, I think I am in no position to tell you when anything is going to reopen. We just have to monitor daily.
Oh, I just want to these children here eating down the house.
They're eating down the house, you say?
They're worse than the corona, actually.
No, man, it can't be worse than the corona. It gives you an opportunity. It gives you an opportunity to spend some time with them.
All right, man.
All right. Good. Let's go back to the phones. Good day. You're on the air.
Hi, good day, Mr. Valley. I'm trying to find out about construction workers.
Yes, their construction site should be closed.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. The only construction sites that will remain open are construction sites dealing with health and security matters. And we have indicated in Nevis that the Charleston Primary School has some health issues that we will address during this period of closure. Let's go back to the phone. Good day. You're on the air.
Hi, good day. How are you? I'm
well, thank you.
So exercising, can we go walking?
You can go exercising. They indicate that you can go by yourself or with family members who live under your roof.
Okay.
You can go between the hours of 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. So we don't expect you to go with the church group or with the gym group. You must go with people who live with you. Okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right. Let's go back to the phone again. Good day.
Good day, Mr. Brantley. I'm calling with one question.
Sure.
If your boss insists that you come into work, what action do you take?
Your boss cannot insist that you come to work unless you are one of those workers that the regulations requires that you go to work. So let me just indicate what the regulations say. It says all businesses and offices must allow workers to work from home using virtual means. That is, if you can work online, right? Okay. If a business cannot operate by having its workers working from home, then it must remain closed during the next 14 days.
Okay.
So it is very clear, and nobody could force you to break the law.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Let's go back to the phones. Good day. You're on the air.
Hi, just wanted to confirm the category for construction workers. Does that include backhoe operators as well?
Well, I believe it does. It falls loosely. They say construction. Well, it says construction sites. That is what it says. Construction sites must be closed except where, for purposes of health and safety, the Commissioner of Police may allow pre-existing site to continue. So that is what the provision says. So it's a good question you've posed about backhoe and backhoe operators. I assume if they're working on a construction site, then that has to close. So by extension, they will not be able to go out.
you.
Okay, all right. Let me go take some more calls. Good day.
Good day. Honorable Premier, could you clarify what is the position with Seabridge running between St. Kitts and Nevis?
I go again to the regulations, and at regulation 11, it says restriction on domestic travel. No person shall offer for hire or seek to travel on any inter-island private commercial sea transport, provided a ports authority may vary any of the requirements by order. I believe that the Sea Bridge came up during discussions, as well as Sea Hustler, and as well as a boat, I think, that belongs to TDC. Those three transport a lot of cargo, food and other things between St. Kitts and Nevis, and the idea was that those should be allowed to continue to transport cargo, not passengers, but cargo. That's important because, of course, we need the islands to continue to have food and supplies. And so any movement between St. Kitts and Nevis, insofar as cargo is concerned, the idea was that that should be permitted. But that would be a matter for NASPA and SCASPA to give the necessary permission based on the regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? All right, we have 6 minutes left. Good day. You're on the air.
Good day, Mr. Brantley.
Good day to you.
In terms of those workers that are on the front line and they live in St. Kitts, is it possible that the Coast Guard or something would be bringing them over to Nevis, or do they have to make their necessary preparations to come over?
I think what those workers should do is get in touch with their supervisors and see what arrangements are put in place for them. I hasten to say again that there are sometimes in this scenario more questions than answers. I say that because the situation is moving very quickly. And that's the reason I decided to come here today, Sunday, to try and do whatever little I can to explain further, because the Prime Minister and Attorney General would have tried their best yesterday to explain, but all day today we were being bombarded with telephone calls. So call your supervisor, find out what has been put in place, all right?
All right, thank you.
You're most welcome.
All
right, we have 6 minutes left. Good day, you're on the air.
Yeah, good day, Mr. Premier.
Good day.
I just wanted to say that I believe that the federal government and the NIA, I think they've been doing a wonderful job in educating the people and implementing the necessary measures to protect us against from the COVID-19. However, I want to say, because people, they don't want to read and they don't want to understand. You must read, number one. And basically, what the authorities are saying, if you not go out there, stop home, stay home. So I want to tell everybody who's listening, stay at home if you're not supposed to be at it. Goodbye, and have a wonderful evening.
Okay. Thank you very much. And again, you've put it very well. Stay at home. That is the overriding message. Stay at home. If you don't have to be out, stay at home. I don't want, like some people say, you got argument with your house, so you have to be out of your house. Stay at home. And I don't want anybody get locked up by the police unnecessarily. Stay at home. 5 minutes to the hour. Let me continue with the calls. Good day, you're on the air.
Hi, good day, Mr. Brantley. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
All right. Took me a while to get in, but I just wanted you to touch on, you may have touched on it before, but for restriction of movement daytime between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 p.m.,
yes,
I think some people still don't understand. I think they feel that they are allowed to move about during those hours.
Well, I made that very clear earlier that that is not the case. You have to stay in your house unless you fall into the category of persons who is required to go out to work, or unless you're on the road to go to the doctor, grocery store, bank, credit union, money services, pharmacy, gas station, etc. Right?
Correct.
So otherwise, stay home.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have any more calls? Let's go. Caller. Okay. No more calls. All right. We have about 4 minutes left to the hour 6 o'clock. We had said we would cut off at 6, but it appears that the calls have finally stopped. I want to thank, okay, I guess I'm being premature. Here we go again. Let's go back. Good day, you're on the air.
I listened late today. Question for you. If I'm a restaurant owner and the workers allowed to work?
The rule is saying that if all businesses must allow workers to work from home. Clearly, you can't do that, I assume, as a restaurant worker. So if your business cannot operate by having its workers working from home, then it must remain closed during the next 14 days. We have an exception for people in terms of businesses, takeaway food vendors. So the assumption is perhaps if you can prepare your food at home, bring it to a place where you're offering takeaway, but no restaurant can be open where people are sitting down and that nature. So the short answer would be that your restaurant should be closed, as your workers would not be able to come to work because they don't fall into the category of people who are essential services or urgent services, as the case may be. We have about 3 minutes left. We don't have any more calls. Yes, we do. Let's go back to the phones. Good day. Good day. You're on the air. Hello.
Hey, man, I just checking up on you. I didn't see you.
You are have a radio or something. We're getting a terrible feedback.
I'm just checking up on you. I heard you call for a while.
Caller, I'm not hearing you properly. Please, you said you're checking up on me? Hello? Okay. Hello, caller? I'm sorry. We've lost you. We have about 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left. Okay. I'm being told that the calls have ended. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. We got a lot of calls that came in between 4:30 and now. I want to thank Von Radio and Rebel Herbert in particular. This was last minute, but he accommodated us. Thank the members of the cabinet who came up with the suggestion that we do this today. And I'm happy that I was able to be here for the last hour and a half with you, trying to answer some questions and bring some greater clarity. For public servants, again, you should get communication from your heads of department as to what you do tomorrow. The permanent secretaries already are in possession of that communication and should be disseminating it to directors of departments and heads of departments so that they can then disseminate it to their workers. My last message to you before I leave: stay at home. Stay at home. You don't like that language, it's too elegant? Top home. Stay at your yard. If you don't need to come out, then please do not come out. That is the message, because we want to create the necessary distance between persons as to kill this coronavirus dead, kill it in its tracks. So that is the message, and that is why we have put together these regulations. The Honorable Prime Minister has done his best. The Honorable Attorney General has done his best. The Cabinet has done its best. I think it is now time for the people to be responsible and to respond accordingly. Thank you, and may God bless you and keep us all safe.